Sometimes you just got to fire up Photoshop and do something crazy. For today's project, I'll be giving you an inside look into how I created this EPIC Mayan War God book cover, as well as a smorgasbord of tips and tricks to help you with your own project. Be sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to share you some of my absolute favourite tips for compositing complex elements in Photoshop. Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name is Dean, I'm a pro book cover artist from the UK and you're tuned in to photomanipulation.com. On this channel, we take you beyond the Photoshop basics and into the world of advanced digital art. So this one is a book cover project that I'm doing for Cohesion Press in Australia. I've worked with the team down there for years and years and years, and this is actually the last professional commission that I'm working on because I am doubling down with you guys and going full-time with YouTube. So it's a bit of a landmark, this piece. Okay, so a lot of the processes that you see here are my standard go-tos. So I am a pen tool fan. You're going to see that a lot in this video. We're going to zip through the pen tool fast because you've seen it all before. I have two figures here and they're both photographs of the same guy, and what I wanted to do was splice the figures together to have like a Kali style Indian god with 4 arms and Goro from Mortal Kombat. The brief that the client gave me was like a video game boss facing off against a Doom guy looking character, so future galactic marine of some kind. So here on the screen you can see the second image, and the same process we just go through for that one. Trace around with the pen tool, right click, make selection, and then create a new layer with just the pixels that we want. So this is pretty straightforward. If you don't already know how to use a pen tool, check out the links below. I'll include a link to a full pen tool tutorial. Now this is quite a unique angle. I work in a slightly different way to everyone else. I like to use selection layers. A selection layer is basically a brand new layer with the selection filled in with white, so at any time I can go command and click on that layer with the white on it and have a selection ready to go. I prefer to use selection layers than clipping masks because I have many layers stacked up, so I just like to have that visual selection on its own layer anytime that I need it. Okay, so the original character, I wanted a more Mayan vibe to it, so I got a wooden ornament, a jaguar head, and put that onto the character. And what you see here is the splicing of the kind of headdress, the first figure and the second figure. Now the compositing for this is done using layer masks. Of course you guys will be familiar with layer masks, but also layer groups. So the elements are within their groups, and then those groups have layer masks added, so the pixels can be selectively shown or hidden as per the project we're working on. So on the screen here you can see the second figure be in position. Because it was done with the same model and the same photographer, it was a perfect setup for creating this kind of extreme war god character. As soon as I saw the two separate images, I instantly knew that I wanted to splice them together to create the character that me and the client spoke about. So on the layer stack you can see one figure in one layer group with a layer mask, and we're tracing around the elements that are going to be hidden or visible, and we use white or black to show or hide on a layer mask. And here you can see that selection layer for the pole being used, filled with black on the layer mask, and that hides the pixel information from the group above. So that's how we created the 4-armed look of this particular creature. Really small little mood board there, not as extreme as my usual mood boards, just to get a vibe of what Mayan characters look like. Some housekeeping here. We like to keep things nice and organised. Okay, so this is the truly wild bit. I wanted the feather headdress on this guy, but as you can see, there's a problem here. There's a hand in the way, it's cropped off at the top, and it's a bit of a tricky procedure, but I thrive with challenges like this. So I got rid of all the stuff we don't need. We didn't need the guy, we didn't need the hand, and now with the pencil, knocking out that background. Now in reality, this did take a long time, cutting out every single one of those feather strands, but this is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy. I'm not the best at environmental work or lighting effects, but I'm really good at being pig-headed and just muscling through when it comes to compositing with a pencil. So that's the kind of little angle or edge that I have on the other guys, especially the guys on my team who are all fantastic at what they do. This is my little area of expertise, literally being so belligerent that I will continue to cut out these feathers when most people would give up. So that's my little superpower. So we're nearing to the end of this, knocking out that background with the trusty old pencil, create the selection, and there you can see we have the feathers left over. Now it's all a bit scrappy and it's all a bit haggard, but we'll get round to cleaning them up later in the piece. Guys, if you are getting value from this video, if you're learning new tips and tricks from this one, please do throw us a like, comment or subscribe. It's free, easy and really supports the channel. We're still newbies in the YouTube space, so that goes a really long way to help push us forward and create more content for you. So we have the figure and we have the forearms and the headdress, and it's already starting to look quite funky, but there's lots more to do. You can see there's big chunks missing from the feather. There's it's cropped at the top, but we're going to use some sneaky tricks in a moment to make that look proper. So all of the elements you see here I grabbed from Adobe stock. I'll include links for them below. And this was a CG render of a galactic marine type figure that I thought fit the profile of the Doom Guy character that the client asked for. That white border that you see there, that's keeping an idea for me of the actual scale, because I'm working wide here. I very rarely work wide, but the composition and the scene felt like it should be a wide scene, but I had to also ensure for the client that it would work within a book frame. So I kept that book frame there for reference, so I knew the typography would fit alongside the visual elements. So naturally we want bushes because it's a Mayan scene, so tropical rainforest type plants. This one I've just grabbed quickly. You'll see loads of landscape stuff just popped up on screen. Don't worry, I'm not going to skip any of that. What I basically did was spent time looking for the stock elements, and instead of meticulously cutting everything out with a pencil like I did with the starter project, it was a really rough cutout using the lasso tool, because I just wanted to see, do the elements fit, is everything right? And I don't want to commit to spending a very long time cutting something out if it's wrong in the composition at the end. So that's something that I do quite frequently. I've heard some people call it comping, where you comp the composition using the elements that have been really quickly cut out just to see everything fits. Now that is a massive time saver, especially if you're doing this professionally. It's a real huge time saver, and basically means that you're not going to be spending too much time cutting things out that don't work. Of course, once I had all those elements in place, then we go ahead and in my instance, trust the old pencil. I like things to be sharp and realistic. Grabbing all those elements, so the temples and things like that, just putting them in and then cutting them out properly. Now I just want to take a moment here to explain what's going on. So I've used repeated elements. I mirrored the temple foreground on the left and then repeated it on the right, but I didn't want it to look too symmetrical, so using a pen tool selectively chopped out some stone blocks and elements, so there's a bit of visual variation between the two. And the same was done for the main background temples. The stone pyre at the top of one of them was removed, and some other elements were removed. So you've got a bit of variation, and it doesn't just look like things are being copied and pasted across. I wanted the Jaguar to have some white eyes to match the War God, and here you can see things are really starting to come together. So we've had compositing, we've been chopping bits out, putting things into place. This is a quick and dirty technique for processing. I like to jump into the camera raw filter from time to time to darken things or lightening things. And here you can see the headdress being tweaked. Now, the reason why I like doing these narrated time lapses instead of hand holding step-by-step tutorials is, why would anyone want to create exactly the same artwork that you've created? Why not build a toolkit of skills? So you watch videos like this or other ones by the team, and then you cherry pick the processes and tricks that you need for your own work, and then create something original. So that's the reason why I like to do it in this format, because we are, as we say in the intro, we're an advanced channel. You can learn the basics from the other YouTubers and then come to us and get the advanced stuff. Backlighting. One way that you can do backlighting is create a shape using the shape tool. Hit U on the keyboard to activate that, or it's activated above the hand tool in the toolbar. You can draw a shape in any color and then filter blur, Gaussian blur, to get an evenly distributed backlight. That's another trick that I use quite a lot there. You duplicate the figure, change it to white. I like to go Command L and pull the black slider to the right to make it pure white, and then go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then change it to overlay or soft light, or even just reduce the opacity, and it gives like a hazy glow. Here you can see the backlight in action. I took a white circle, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and what that does is it just pushes that central figure into the foreground, separating it from the background. A lot of digital art, visual arts is about contrast, and if it looks like a pixel soup and there's not enough variation in tones for the eyes to lock onto, the whole thing becomes a bit murky and less impactful. So a little trick here for cutting out the birds. Alpha channel, you select an alpha channel with a lot of contrast, and then you can select color range. So here we go, fast again, do the levels, select the color range, go back to RGB and chop that out. There's loads of dedicated tutorials for working with alpha channels. I'm actually quite new to it. I never used alpha channels before, but recently I've been finding them quite handy. Maybe I'll do a dedicated alpha channels tutorial in the future. The trick I told you about earlier on, by just using a large soft edge brush or shapes, I'll use there to create back glows to shape the lighting of the overall piece. Now these fire elements, I love these. These are brand new. I got these from Neo stock. So this is from the EPIC overlay bundle. There's flames, smoke, particle, rain, snow, debris, loads and loads of instant stuff that you can just throw into your photo bashing projects. I'll put a link for that one in the description below. But having these EPIC overlays just made life so much easier. Instead of spending quarter of an hour hunting out all these different flame elements, I just had everything there instantly ready to go. It saved me loads and loads of time. Because they're PNGs, I don't really have to do anything too fancy. I've still changed the layer blend mode of those to screen because it makes the flames react nicer, but you didn't have to because they are PNG files. My area of expertise is creature and portrait design, so I'm not really anywhere near as good as Redwan at the landscape stuff, but every so often I do like to give it a try. But it's definitely not my forte. And the same goes for lighting effects, like Christian Bentelan as well. He's just too good and I am years behind him. Another folder of the EPIC overlays bundle. This time is smoke and fog effects, and these are brilliant for creating haze and mist and fog. So that's part of the same bundle that the fire came in. Like I said before, link for that one in the description. So yeah, I had loads of fun finally getting to mess about with these, and they were instant. I was rocking and rolling really fast. So we're getting some haze involved, some atmospherics. An environment or scene like that would, a rainforest environment would naturally be very steamy, hazy, foggy. So this was me trying to create a sense of depth. Also, those mid-ground elements, so should I say background elements, the Mayan temples, they would, because they're further off in the distance, they wouldn't be as sharp and punchy as the foreground elements. So the sharpest focus, highest saturation elements would be the rainforest bits at the front, and then it will get progressively softer and lower saturation as things go further into the background, because atmospheric haze will create that sense of depth and distance. Like I said before, I'm by no means an expert in this stuff, but I muddle through the best I can. I'm more of a portrait and character guy, and I'll be doing, now I'm not freelancing anymore, I'll be doing loads more. I specialise in robotics and creatures and strange body horror creations, and mad sci-fi is a huge love of mine as well. So for those kind of spear type things, created a path around them, filled it with orange, and then set that orange to overlay. A little bit of camera raw on the marine figure. We're getting near to the end of this one now, guys. With my videos, it's always zips along at a mean clip, but I just want to give an overview and share some of the techniques as opposed to a meticulous drilled down, because a piece of this magnitude would take about 5 hours to explain truly step by step. So the glows from where the war god is emanating, it's like a flame, using combination of hard light and overlay blend modes with those orange tones. And then you can use the soft edge brush, maybe with the flow set to like 30 or something. You can manually paint in little elements in the foreground to create mist and haze where you need it. The headdress was repaired by just copying and pasting and repeating elements around, and then using the layer masks just to gently brush away the edges to make it look seamless. So I was really happy with the way that headdress turned out in the end. So to recap what we've covered on this one, I know we zipped along a real mean pace, but we've looked at some compositing approaches, using a mixture of photo stocks and CG elements, how to create a comp using the lasso tool to just get things down in a fast and rough way, loads of pen tool action. It wouldn't be a Dean tutorial without loads of pen tool action. And then some environmental processing with fire and manually creating lighting effects. So we covered a few things in this one. Most people charge for these full depth tutorials, but I like to share the full workflow and process. Another demo of the selection layer in place there, and the same being done for that pole. So this isn't a part of this project. I wanted to keep this in. I always like to keep in mistakes and things that didn't go well, because I think that's an accurate representation of the creative process. So I've been trying to learn how to do manual highlights with the graphics tablet. So I gave it a little go. I thought the flame and the light is emanating from the bottom. That will catch on the bottom edge of those spear weapons. So I made an attempt to paint on some manual highlights where that glow was emanating and then catching on the bottom edges. This is another bundle that I use from Neo stock. This is from the Ultimate Magic bundle, and these are firefly elements for creating nice little particle effects. So I thought, yep, I'll use them for small sparks. So the way I changed them from green to orange was just go Command and U to get hue saturation, click the colorize box, and then tweaked the lightness and saturation sliders to get those fireflies looking orange instead of green. Really fast. So I did that directly onto the pixel information. There we have the process being shown close up. So colorize, pull the lightness down, push the saturation up, and you can change the color of those embers or sparks from one color to another. It's destructive, it's done straight to the pixels. If you were really fussed, you could have converted that layer into a smart object. I feel quite fancy now. I've started using smart objects like all the cool kids. I'm slowly getting more civilized in my old age. Normally at the end of a piece I do some post-processing. I really like to use selective color to do global process, and I really like to use Camera Raw. I tried using Nik Collection and some other bits to finalize this one, but my computer has not been playing nice recently. I'm waiting for a new iMac M1 to come out, and I'll get that, and hopefully everything will work. But at the moment, since I've upgraded to 2021, things have just not been working. In a way it's been good because I haven't been relying on a lot of the plugins and filters I usually do, and it's getting me out of my comfort zone. So that's pretty much a wrap for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy this format. If you do, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy the insight and really looking into the warts and all process of me producing professional artworks for clients or for this channel, check out the end cards that are coming up in a moment, and I'll put 2 other projects there that I think you'll enjoy. So that'll do it for this one today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look into this Mayan War God, and I will catch you at the next one. See you then.